Hello Genshin Squad, I'm DragonLordLeda, and today's video is to discuss 5 changes I believe Mihoyo can make to improve the player experience of Abyss. The first change is specific to the Rifthounds, since in the current 2.3 Abyss, they are what a lot of players are struggling against. I believe Mihoyo needs to add a patch that prevents the Rifthounds from being able to position themselves behind the barrier. This also happens in domains. Given how important it is to be constantly doing damage against these tanky enemies, it's incredibly frustrating to see them move behind the barrier and make us lose out on potential damage. Changing this would not only help make the wolves more bearable in Abyss, but it also provides a potential valid strategy of hugging the walls to group them easier, which is another common complaint I've seen players have. And I find it weird that Mihoyo didn't account for this when adding the Rifthounds in the Abyss, when they clearly have some form of collision detection with other enemies. For example, the Magokenki has a move where if it tries to dash away and it's between us and the wall, it collides with the wall, even though this dash can cover more distance. I will give Mihoyo the benefit of the doubt that this is a bug and an oversight, because if it's not, then that's just another point towards a lack of polish Genshin has at times. The second change comes from OKCode's tweet. I think Genshin suffers a lot from scaling rewards in the late game, which can be a topic of its own for another day, but the main idea is in Abyss, there's a huge difference between the rewards and effort required. It feels disrespectful that Mihoyo keeps increasing the HP pool in Abyss without increasing the rewards. Abyss is unfortunately one of the few ways endgame players can consistently farm up some Primo Gems. Even then, assuming you manage to actually get 36 stars every time, you're only getting 600 Primo Gems in total, which is only enough for at most 3 pulls and a few spare gems. Wow, such great rewards for our efforts, even after a year this game has been out. So how could Mihoyo increase the rewards? Well, I believe a good starting point would be to double the current rewards. Instead of 50 gems for every 3 stars, it should be 100. Then players could earn up to 1200 Primo Gems if they were to 36 star, which gives us 7.5 wishes. I think this would make a lot of players more happy with Abyss, since they'd be getting double rewards for their current efforts. My third change is increase the time limit for the entirety of floor 12. This is the next best change Mihoyo could make if they for some reason didn't want to increase the rewards and just kept adding tankier enemies. Instead of making each chamber in floor 12 to be completed with a remaining time longer than 7 minutes in order to get 3 stars, increase the time limit to be like the first 2 chambers of the previous floors, where you can get 3 stars by completing it with a remaining time longer than 5 minutes. And so forth. This would be fair to more players who may not be able to 3-star every single chamber in the current Abyss, but manage to still complete it. It helps ease some of the tension and stress that comes with trying to play perfectly constantly when going for 3 stars each chamber. It makes facing the tankier enemies like Rifthounds, Double Samurai, and Mirror Maiden more tolerable. And those who already perfect the Abyss won't be affected by this change or forced to play differently. Plus, if Mihoyo makes this change and then finds that they made it too easy, we could compromise on the solution by splitting the time increase down the middle as such. These next 2 suggestions would require coding some new quality of life features instead of adjusting current ones. The fourth change is letting us preview buff cards in Abyss. This would require a change in UI, so for simplicity, I'll say it will be in the starting screen of Abyss, like so on screen. Not only would you be able to preview the enemies that you face in each chamber like you already can, but also allow players to preview the buff cards that are available for them for the day. I think this is a great quality of life change to add, since for a lot of us, the buff cards can be a significant factor and whether we are able to 3-star chambers. It just helps players by giving them more information and possible options for team comps and strategies. Now, what if you're already in an Abyss chamber? Well, Mihoyo could add an icon that allows you to see this info, similar to how you could look at the map in Labyrinth Warriors event. The last change is allowing players to select a chamber to start on if they previously 3-starred it. Now, before you say this would break Abyss, please let me explain first. While players would be allowed to skip chambers they previously 3-starred in, to keep it balanced, they won't be able to carry any buff cards that they would have gotten if they just started for chamber 1. So there's a trade-off for redoing from the start in the hopes of getting good buff cards for future chambers, or skipping potential gatekeeping chambers, but your team would be weaker in terms of buffs. There are plenty of examples from past Abysses where players would have to be forced to switch teams because one team may be optimized for, say, Chambers 1 and 3, but not for Chamber 2. An example of this is everyone's favorite, Magokenki. In 2.2, Freeze Comp was great in Chambers 1 and 3 for floor 12, but not as great against the Magokenki since you can't freeze bosses. My main point is to reward players who manage to rise up to the challenge of 3-starring a chamber, and once again giving them more options for how they can tackle the Abyss, which enhances the experience and helps remove some of the annoyances that comes with playing Abyss. If you agree with any of the changes mentioned, then support this video by hitting the like button, share it across the community, and leave a comment with some of your own. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in our next video.